Are you a lawbreaker? How would you know? Look at America's laws, 160,000 pages of them. And these are just the federal ones, more local ones. And among these is a recent law that makes internet gambling illegal. Arizona Senator John Kyle, who pushed this bill, says online gambling creates problems unlike any other form of gambling. Could lead to addiction, bankruptcy, crime, even suicide. So online gambling is forbidden, unless it's run by the government, or if people bet on horse racing. If you have the lobbyists, apparently you can get an exemption. So, former Senator Al D'Amato, you must not be very good at your job, because you're now trying to defend the poker players, and it's illegal.
They retained me too late. See, had they retained me a little earlier, we would have stopped this ridiculous legislation. And now millions of Americans cannot play poker on the internet.
And millions of people want to. It's not like it's being repealed, and the Obama administration it's on the warpath. Half a dozen major sites have been shut down. They just shut down the Bodog.com. If you go to the Bodog site, the Department of Homeland Security has. What does Homeland Security have to do?
Remember, one of the things they claim is that, and there is something to this, that these sites can be used for money laundering, particularly those from abroad, those that come from outside of the United States. And that's why, John, the answer is you really legalize it and regulate it. And I'm not saying tax it, but regulate it. See to it that honest games are run honestly, because that's another part of this. When you simply make it illegal and you can't even enforce these laws because the outside operators...
It happens anyway. People still gamble or the money goes overseas.
And it's kind of like prohibition. When you had prohibition, what happened? You had bootleggers making money, everybody making money. You made it illegal. You had bad alcohol coming in, people being blinded, people died, etc. So you have to regulate it, but don't make it illegal. And by the way, to go into a person's home and to say on the internet, where we're doing more and more business and transactions, that it's illegal to put it on the internet, that's ridiculous. Porn's on the internet. So it's about time that the government recognize the individual rights of people. That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about Republicans. We're not talking about Democrats. And by the way, for my conservative friends, I say shame on us.
So the individual rights of people, and you think you're going to win on this eventually, they will repeal this law.
Yeah, I
do.
So
then let me ask you, but this is why I'm uncomfortable with you politicians.
All right.
You pass all these laws, and when you're out of office, you flip on the other side. You know, I used to do a series...
Well, I wasn't there to vote on this. I would have voted no.
All right, but one thing you did vote on, I used to do a series called Give Me a Break, where I would make fun of... stupid ideas, I thought. The very first one I did was on you.
What did I do?
You were proposing to ban fees at ATM machines.
Sure. Because I saw that the U.S., the guy, was being taken advantage of. You know, it's easy to say people have choices, but in some communities, particularly in impoverished areas, they don't have choices. They don't have ATMs.
But if your law passed, we wouldn't have ATM machines.
Not really. Not really.
But if you can't charge for it, how do you can't pay for it?
Well, you have a lot of banks that don't charge for it now, and that's competition, and that really is the essence of our...
You also supported the war on drugs. You said Reagan wasn't tough enough. You voted to ban flag burning. You voted to impose trade sanctions on Japan at a time when everybody was scared of Japan. What about individual freedom that you just defended?
You should have individual freedom, but, you know, trade should be fair trade.
And you politicians decide what's fair?
Well, you know what? If you have tariffs that impose a 100% increase on my automobiles and products that we ship from the United States, and we let yours come in without those tariffs, that's not fair trade. And so we should have free trade, but it should be fair. And I think most people agree. And by the way, did I undertake some things, reflecting back, if I weren't running for office and didn't want votes, populist kind of matters, I probably wouldn't have sponsored them.
The drug laws? About the right to play poker? How about the right to...
Let me tell you about the drug laws. First of all, you have an army in places that they shouldn't be, all right? And you know, when Ron Paul talks about some of these things, what do we got 50,000 troops over in Germany for? They're ridiculous.
Beats me.
Costing us tens of billions of dollars annually. They're not doing anything.
What's it have to do with the drug laws?
I bring them home, and I put them on the border. I'd close the border down so you wouldn't move the drugs in. And let me just tell you something. I think the drug war is one that we've abdicated. It's in name only, and we're not fighting it the way we can and should.
But if adults should get to gamble, which hurts some people, why shouldn't adults get to
Heroin?
take drugs? Heroin.
Yeah. Coke?
If it's their choice, Coke.
Really?
If they're adults
and
over
then what
21,
about the social cost?
They're taking it anyway.
And who takes the social
Who
cost?
takes care of the social costs now?
Well, you're just
doesn't make it go away.
We're just going to balloon it.
I'm going too far off subject.
No.
Thank you, Senator D'Amato. Coming up, my take on how what you politicians do paralyzes whole countries, and maybe it kills people.